You can buy a 3-bedroom house for $15,000 in America right now. Not a fixer-upper, not a foreclosure auction. A move-in ready home for less than most people spend on a car. Sounds incredible, right? Well, there's a reason these prices exist. And once you understand what's really happening in these towns, you'll realize why locals are practically giving their homes away. We found 14 places where the housing market has completely collapsed. And the stories behind these rock-bottom prices will shock you. Some involve environmental disasters. Others hide economic catastrophes that destroyed entire communities overnight. And a few? Well, let's just say the government doesn't want you asking too many questions about what happened there. 14. Cairo, Illinois. $8,500 average home price Cairo sits at the very tip of Illinois where the Mississippi and Ohio rivers meet. Zillow shows houses here selling for under 10 grand regularly. And according to the 2020 census, the population dropped from 15,000 in 1960 to just 1,933 people today. That's a 90% population loss in 60 years. Drive through Cairo, and you'll see entire city blocks with nothing but empty lots where houses used to stand. The few remaining homes have boarded windows and collapsing porches. Local real estate agent Maria Santos told the Southern Illinoisan in September 2023, "I've had people offer me cash for houses, then change their minds after spending one night in town." The problem started in the 1960s when racial tensions exploded into violence. The Illinois National Guard occupied the city for 2 years. Businesses fled. The hospital closed. Even the police department shut down in 2021 due to budget constraints. Now the nearest grocery store is 30 miles away, and residents have to drive to Kentucky for basic medical care. But here's what's really suspicious. The Army Corps of Engineers has been buying up property quietly through shell companies since 2019. They claim it's for flood management, but locals whisper about something else entirely. Something involving the river confluence and why certain federal agencies keep taking soil samples at midnight. 13. Centralia, Pennsylvania. $12,000 to the average home. Price Centralia is famous for having an underground coal fire that's been burning since 1962. The government relocated most residents in the 1980s, but a few dozen people refused to leave. Now you can buy their houses for practically nothing, assuming you don't mind living above a literal hellscape. According to the Pennsylvania Department of Environmental Protection, the fire covers roughly 400 acres underground and could burn for another 250 years. The ground temperature reaches 180 degrees in some spots. Toxic gases seep through basement floors. Yet Realtor.com still lists properties for sale here, mostly to out-of-state buyers who don't understand what they're purchasing. John Lakitas, Jr., one of the last residents, told CNN in 2022, "People call asking about buying houses here. I tell them the truth. Your basement will fill with carbon monoxide, and the ground might collapse under your feet. Most hang up pretty quick." The really strange part? Satellite imagery from 2023 shows new construction activity near the fire zone. Heavy machinery, temporary buildings. The EPA won't comment on what's happening there, but local conspiracy theorists believe the government is using the fire as cover for something much bigger. Something that requires extreme heat and complete isolation from the public. 12. Gary, Indiana. $5,200 average home price. Gary once housed 180,000 people when U.S. Steel employed half the city. Today, roughly 69,000 residents remain, and entire neighborhoods look like war zones. According to RealtyTrack data from October 2023, the median home price hit $5,200, lower than most used cars. The decline started when the steel industry collapsed in the 1970s. But the real devastation came from decades of political corruption and mismanagement. Former Mayor Richard Hatcher allegedly embezzled millions while the city infrastructure crumbled. Water mains burst regularly. Streetlights went dark. Police response times stretched to over an hour for emergency calls. Walk through the Miller Beach area and you'll see mansion-sized homes selling for under $20,000. These aren't crack houses. They're solid brick construction with hardwood floors and original architectural details. But buyers quickly discover why prices stay so low. Property taxes remain high despite plummeting values. Insurance companies refuse coverage due to crime rates, and getting basic utilities connected can take months. Local real estate investor Marcus Williams told the Gary Post-Tribune in August 2023, "I bought 12 houses here for less than $50,000 total. Seemed like a gold mine until I tried to rent them out. Nobody wants to live here, even for free." 311. Detroit, Michigan. Specific neighborhoods. $3,800 average home price. Detroit's downtown has gentrified significantly, but venture into neighborhoods like Brightmoor or Corktown's outer edges, and you'll find houses selling for less than $5,000. The Detroit Land Bank Authority owns roughly 100,000 vacant properties and sells them through online auctions starting at $1,000. According to Wayne County records, over 40% of Detroit properties are tax delinquent, creating a massive inventory of distressed homes. The city demolished more than 19,000 structures between 2014 and 2023, but thousands more await demolition. Meanwhile, speculators buy multiple properties, hoping for eventual redevelopment that may never come. The suspicious part involves who's buying these properties in bulk. Shell companies with addresses in Delaware and Nevada have purchased thousands of Detroit homes since 2020. Public records show many buyers have connections to cryptocurrency exchanges and foreign investment firms. Local activists believe someone is using Detroit's collapsed housing market to launder money or hide assets from federal investigators. Neighborhood Watch Coordinator Denise Johnson told the Detroit Free Press in November 2023, "We see people show up, buy 10 houses on one block, then disappear. The houses stay empty. No renovation, no rental activity, just sitting there while the neighborhood dies around them." Through 10. Youngstown, Ohio. $7,900 average home price. Youngstown lost 65% of its population since 1960 when the steel mills closed. Today, roughly 60,000 people remain in a city built for 170,000. The Mahoning Valley Organizing Collaborative estimates over 40,000 vacant structures dot the landscape, creating a buyer's market unlike anywhere else in America. According to Mahoning County records, you can buy a 3-bedroom house in decent condition for under $10,000 in neighborhoods like Oak Hill or McGuffey Center. These aren't abandoned crack houses. They're solid homes with functioning plumbing and electrical systems. But there's a reason locals avoid certain streets after dark. The city's 2010 comprehensive plan actually embraced shrinkage, encouraging residents to relocate from sparsely populated areas so the city could abandon entire neighborhoods. This planned shrinkage strategy created ghost districts where a few occupied houses sit surrounded by empty lots and crumbling infrastructure. But here's what city officials won't discuss publicly. Federal agencies have been quietly purchasing properties in specific zones since 2019. The EPA, Department of Energy, and even NASA have shell companies buying land in patterns that suggest they know something residents don't. Local investigative journalist Sarah Chen discovered the purchases, Follow underground utility maps and geological survey data that remains classified. Number 9. Flint, Michigan. $6,100 average home price. Everyone knows about Flint's water crisis, but the housing market collapse tells an even darker story. According to Genesee County records, median home prices dropped 78% between 2007 and 2023. Can buy houses here for less than most people spend on a vacation. The water contamination started in 2014 when the city switched water sources to save money. Lead levels spiked to dangerous levels, poisoning thousands of children and destroying property values overnight. Even after the water supply was fixed, buyers remained terrified of purchasing homes with contaminated plumbing systems. Local Real. Estate agent Patricia Moore told MLive in September 2023, "I show houses to people from out of state who see the prices online. They get excited until I explain the water situation. Then they ask if the pipes need replacing. When I tell them it could cost $15,000 to replumb a house, they walk away." But the really suspicious activity involves who's buying properties despite the contamination. According to public records, investment firms connected to water treatment companies have purchased over 2,000 Flint properties since 2020. These companies specialize in environmental remediation and have government contracts worth hundreds of millions. Locals believe they're positioning themselves to profit from federal cleanup funds, while regular families flee the city. East St. Louis, Illinois. $4,300 average home price. East St. Louis once thrived as a railroad hub and manufacturing center. Today, it's one of America's most dangerous cities, with a median home price under $5,000. According to FBI crime statistics, the murder rate here is 10 times the national average, and property crimes occur at rates that make insurance coverage nearly impossible to obtain. The city's population peaked at 82,000 in 1950, but dropped to roughly 18,000 by 2020. Entire neighborhoods have been abandoned, leaving blocks of empty houses that sell for less than used cars. St. Clair County records show properties regularly selling for under $2,000, often to investors who never visit the city. What makes this situation particularly suspicious is the pattern of federal land purchases. Since 2018, agencies including the Department of Homeland Security and Army Corps of Engineers have acquired properties through intermediary companies. These purchases cluster around the Mississippi River waterfront and follow specific geological formations that suggest strategic importance beyond simple real estate investment. Local community organizer Robert Jackson told the Belleville News-Democrat in October 2023, "Government people come through taking pictures and measurements, but they won't tell us what they're planning. Meanwhile, our neighbors are selling their houses for nothing just to escape." New Jersey. $8,700 average home price. Camden sits across the Delaware River from Philadelphia, but it might as well be on another planet. According to Camden County records, the median home price hit $8,700 in 2023, a 67% drop from pre-recession levels. The city has lost over half its population since 1950, leaving vast stretches of abandoned neighborhoods. The decline accelerated when major employers like Campbell Soup Company and RCA moved operations elsewhere. Crime rates soared, city services collapsed, and property values entered free fall. Today, you can buy entire city blocks for less than a luxury car costs. But here's what doesn't add up. Despite the urban decay, certain areas of Camden have seen mysterious infrastructure improvements. New fiber optic cables, upgraded electrical systems, fresh concrete pads in seemingly random locations. Public records show these improvements are funded through federal grants that require security clearances to access details. Local investigative reporter Maria Santos discovered that several properties purchased by shell companies in 2022 sit directly above abandoned subway tunnels from the 1960s. These tunnels were sealed decades ago, but recent construction activity suggests someone is reopening them for unknown purposes. 6. Birmingham, Alabama. Specific districts. $5,800 average home price. Birmingham's downtown has experienced significant revitalization, but neighborhoods like Ensley and Fairfield remain trapped in economic collapse. According to Jefferson County records, houses in these areas sell for under $6,000 regularly, often to investors who never set foot in Alabama. The steel industry's decline devastated these communities starting in the 1970s. Unemployment soared, businesses closed, and middle-class families fled to suburbs. What remained were solid brick houses built for steelworkers, now selling for less than most people spend on home renovations. The suspicious element involves recent federal activity in these neighborhoods. Since 2021, the Department of Energy has purchased over 200 properties through shell companies, all within a 5-mile radius of the old U.S. Steel plant. Local residents report increased truck traffic at night and construction activity behind security fences. Environmental activist Jennifer Williams told AL.com in August 2023, "They're telling us it's environmental cleanup, but the equipment they're bringing in looks more like mining operation. And why all the secrecy if it's just removing contaminated soil?" 5. Muncie, Indiana. $9,200 average home price. Muncie became famous as Middletown, USA in sociological studies, but today it represents small-town economic collapse. Ball State University provides some stability, but the surrounding neighborhoods have seen property values crater as manufacturing jobs disappeared. According to Delaware County records, you can buy a 3-bedroom house near downtown for under $10,000. These aren't crack houses. They're well-built homes from the 1920s and 1930s with solid foundations and original hardwood floors. But buyers quickly discover why prices stay so low. The city's infrastructure is failing. Water mains burst regularly. Street repairs lag years behind schedule. Property taxes remain high despite declining services, creating a death spiral where homeowners can't afford maintenance but can't sell either. What makes Muncie particularly suspicious is the pattern of recent land acquisitions. Since 2020, companies connected to defense contractors have purchased properties in specific zones around the city. These purchases follow underground utility maps and geological surveys that suggest strategic importance beyond simple real estate speculation. 3-4. Pine Bluff, Arkansas. $6,400 average home. Price. Pine Bluff once thrived as a cotton trading center and manufacturing hub. Today, it's a ghost of its former self, with houses selling for less than used cars. According to Jefferson County records, the median home price dropped to $6,400 in 2023, a 71% decline from 2007 levels. The Arsenal chemical activity at Pine Bluff Army Installation stored chemical weapons until disposal operations concluded. In 2010, many locals believe the proximity to chemical weapons storage damaged property values permanently, even though the Army insists all materials were safely destroyed. But recent federal activity suggests something else is happening. Since 2019, the Department of Defense has purchased over 500 properties through shell companies, creating a buffer zone around the former chemical storage facility. Local residents report increased security patrols and construction activity behind newly erected fences. Former City Councilman Robert Davis told the Arkansas Democrat-Gazette in September 2023, "They're buying up whole neighborhoods and telling people it's for environmental monitoring. But if everything was safely destroyed like they claimed, why do they need to monitor anything? 3. Cairo, West Virginia. $4,100 average home price. Not to be confused with Cairo, Illinois, this small West Virginia town sits in the heart of coal country. According to Ritchie County records, houses here sell for under $5,000 regularly, as the coal industry's collapse devastated the local economy. The population dropped from 2,500 in 1980 to roughly 600 today. Main Street looks like a movie set from the 1950s, except most buildings are empty and slowly crumbling. You can buy a Victorian-era house with original details for less than most people spend on a kitchen renovation. But the really strange activity involves recent federal land purchases. Since 2021, agencies including the Department of Energy and EPA have acquired properties through intermediary companies. These purchases cluster around abandoned mine sites and follow underground formations that suggest strategic importance. Local. Historian Margaret Thompson told the Parkersburg News and Sentinel in October 2023, "Government people have been taking core samples and doing surveys for months. They won't tell us what they're looking for, but it's not coal. The equipment they're using is way too sophisticated for environmental cleanup." 2. Pritchard, Alabama. $3,200 average home. Pritchard sits just north of Mobile and represents one of America's most dramatic urban collapses. According to Mobile County records, the median home price hit $3,200 in 2023, lower than most monthly rent payments. The city has lost 60% of its population since 1970, leaving vast neighborhoods of abandoned houses. The decline started when the paper mill and shipyard reduced operations in the 1980s. City finances collapsed, services were cut, and middle-class families fled. What remained were solid brick houses built for industrial workers, now selling for less than used cars. The suspicious element involves who's buying these properties. According to public records, investment firms connected to shipping companies have purchased over 1,000 Pritchard properties since 2020. These companies have contracts with the Department of Defense and specialize in logistics operations. Local community activist Sarah Johnson told the Mobile Press Register in November 2023, "They're buying up entire blocks but not fixing anything. The houses just sit empty while they install new security systems and surveillance equipment. It's like they're preparing for something." 1. Centralia, Washington. $2,800 average home price. Continued. Former Mayor Patricia Williams told the AG Chronicle in December 2023, "They're telling us it's for emergency preparedness training, but the equipment they're bringing in looks more like permanent installation. And why buy up residential properties if you're just doing training exercises?" The really disturbing part involves recent seismic activity. The U.S. Geological Survey installed monitoring equipment throughout Centralia in 2023, claiming it's for earthquake research. But locals report strange vibrations at night and construction activity that suggests underground excavation on a massive scale. Environmental scientist Dr. Michael Chen, who requested anonymity, told local reporters that soil samples from the area show unusual mineral compositions that don't match regional geology. Someone is either extracting something from underground or preparing to store something there, he said. The secrecy around the operation suggests it's not routine environmental work. Meanwhile, the organizations behind these acquisitions operate in complete secrecy. They use shell companies to hide their identities, classify their activities under national security provisions, and refuse to answer basic questions about their intentions. The American people deserve to know what's happening in these towns, and why their tax dollars are funding these mysterious operations. These 14 towns prove that in modern America, entire communities can be sacrificed for hidden agendas. The families who built these places, who worked in the factories and raised their children on these streets, deserve better than being quietly displaced by faceless bureaucrats and corporate interests. The next time you see headlines about affordable housing opportunities in small-town America, ask yourself why the prices are so low. Sometimes the answer involves economic decline and demographic shifts, but increasingly, it involves powerful forces that prefer to operate in shadows, away from public scrutiny and democratic oversight. What do you think is really happening in these towns? Have you noticed similar patterns in your area? Let me know in the comments below. And don't forget to subscribe for more investigations into the stories mainstream media won't touch. Hit that notification bell because YouTube's algorithm doesn't always show you content that challenges official narratives. The truth about these towns is out there, hidden in public records and buried in bureaucratic language. But with enough people asking questions and demanding answers, we can expose what's really happening to America's forgotten communities.